Business as Unusual is a thought-provoking podcast that explores the innovative strategies, disruptive ideas, and unconventional practices driving successful leaders and companies in the ever-evolving world of modern business. Subscribe, comment, and share for weekly inspiration with our host, Aicila.
Hey there, welcome back to Business as Unusual. In today's episode, we're diving into the world of skincare with Deb from Herbal Eclipse. She and I chatted about her journey from higher education to launching a natural organic skincare line alongside her son, while also tying in a fascinating astrological twist. Whether you're curious about using herbs on your skin or just want a fun listen, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hello, Deb. Welcome to Business as Unusual. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
I know for folks that are listening, we had to be very committed to this. So it's exciting that we're getting a chance to have this conversation. Deb is a co-founder, I should say, of Herbal Eclipse, which is a business that produces skincare products, all natural organic skincare products that align with zodiac signs. I know you're curious about this, but you're going to have to wait. And Deb's path to this was very interesting. She started out in higher education, and this was something she did at home for her family. And and of course her kids were like, whatever, Mom, because that's what our kids do. And then over time, as different reports have come out about the benefits of things that are a little bit more natural and have fewer toxic chemicals. I know, we're thinking toxic chemicals. Of course, there's benefits not to having that. However, it's taken a little while for the business world and communities to catch up. Her son suggested that they start selling those products, and Herbal Eclipse was born. We're going to talk a little bit about organic skincare products and astrology and maybe running a business with your kid. So I appreciate you being here to talk about all of these different things.
Thank you. These are some of my favorite topics to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting. I feel like we end up in that space sometimes of, before we were chatting, you talked about it's a little woo, and it's tricky, right? Because there's a place where you don't want to be spouting off stuff and feel crazy. And also, there are things that we're learning. Sometimes I feel like we forget that what was sort of accepted practice maybe 50 years ago, we've learned a lot of things about why it is and isn't good. And that's okay. And part of how you learn it is you question what's there and you develop new understandings and new information. So what seems maybe woo today might just be the way things are in 50 years. We don't know. And so being dismissive isn't really helpful to anybody. That's one of my personal perspectives that I'm guessing with the nodding that you agree with that. And one of the things that you talked about wishing more people knew was that even most of the really expensive skincare products featured in high-end magazines and stores include ingredients that are bad for your skin, which I thought was kind of interesting. And do you have any more details on that you can or things you can point to that would be helpful for people to kind of start to understand and make that connection?
I think there's so much evidence out there that it's pretty easily accessible if you Google, right? I think it's there on the internet. What astounds me is how, even though we know that so many of these ingredients are not good for our skin, companies continue to use them and people continue to buy them. And even for example, just perfume. Those perfumes, those expensive perfumes you're paying $100 or more for, they are so bad for your health, for your skin. It's all chemical, synthetic scents. And, sometimes they'll have some essential oils in there, yes, but overall, and you're putting that on your skin. And our skin is the largest organ in our body. So what you put on your skin gets absorbed. It gets into your body. And I remember reading an article once how in Europe there is like a list of maybe 75 ingredients that are not allowed to be put in skincare products over there, but here they're okay, right? And maybe to some extent that's changing, or maybe there's even more now. So yeah, I think it's pretty well known that some of these things, like especially the synthetic fragrances, that's, number one. And also preservatives. That's a big one. And that's a really important one because you really can't sell skincare products without some sort of preservative. So we had to work pretty hard on our formulations to find ways to find organic approved, EcoCert approved preservatives, and they're a little fussy. So you have to, work on them. And I think the bottom line as far as the commercial products go that you'll find in the big stores is they have a price point they need to get to, right? And they just can't afford to use the products that we use. So yes, our products end up being more expensive because of our ingredients. I mean, just the essential oils, because we use organic wherever we can, it makes it more expensive, but we don't have the overhead of that, trying to get into those big stores and taking out ads in magazines and that sort of thing. So we try to balance it that way because we are a small, family-owned business. We make our products in small batches, ship them right away. They're not stored in some warehouse for 5 years, that sort of thing. I think I rambled on and on. Did I answer your question?
You did. I have so in terms of the preservative piece, because that is something I've noticed, and I work with several companies that have more organic or if they use food preserves or whatever, and there is that expiration date kind of looms heavy. How do you guys handle that?
Well, first of all, skincare products are meant to be used, right?
Mm-hmm.
So soap, our hand and body wash, hopefully you're using it every day. The moisturizer and the lotion, these are things you use every day. So the expiration date really should not be an issue if you're using skincare. But our products certainly aren't products that you want to get as a gift and then save them for some special day 5 years down the line. That just doesn't work that way. And it's not even, we do have the preservatives to help keep them, clean and shelf happy for probably about a year. At the same time, herbal ingredients, they're stronger when they're fresher, right? 5 years down the line, you're not getting the same benefits from those wonderful herbal ingredients that you would if you're using them when you got them.
Right. Well, and so that's on the customer side. And then on your side, it sounds like when you say you make small batches so that you try to kind of maybe keep it try to produce to the level of expected purchase, which I think people usually do, but it sounds to me like you might, kind of like a restaurant, might need to be even more precise in that.
Yes. We have to be careful not to make more than we need and than we expect to sell for that reason. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. I don't know. Did you hear about the Lindt chocolate lawsuit a couple of years ago?
Was that because there might be peanuts that were not mentioned or something? I don't remember. There's been a lot recently. I've heard also about a skincare line that had to recall, an expensive skincare line had to recall products, but I'm not sure. What's the Lindt one?
So do you know the little chocolate, those like chocolate Lindt balls or Lindt chocolate? It's, it's billed as kind of a premium chocolate. And they had a lawsuit in 2023 because they marketed themselves as expertly crafted with finest ingredients, safe as well as delightful. And they had unsafely high levels of lead and cadmium in their chocolate. And they tried to say that, well, saying it's premium chocolate doesn't mean anything. And the judge was sort of like, yeah, but we sort of expect no toxic chemicals in our premium anything. Like that's not. And I thought that was an interesting argument they were making. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. And at the same time, they lost because of that. I mean, it kind of made me bummed out because I was like, I like Lindt chocolate. Did I like the lead? I don't know.
All right. So now I'm going to bum you out even more because unfortunately, that's not a Lindt chocolate problem. That's a chocolate industry problem. I remember reading some reports not that long ago, probably around the same time as this lawsuit, that I think most of the chocolate tested on the market had unhealthy levels of, or unacceptable levels of lead and cadmium, and it wasn't Lindt. It's the supply, and also that included organic chocolate. By the way, now I'm a huge chocolate fan. It's probably my favorite food group, right? But I stopped eating most chocolate around that time, because when I Googled what brand didn't have high levels of lead and cadmium, I couldn't find one.
Mm-hmm.
So until I find one that says we're tested, so unfortunately it's not a Lindt problem, it's a chocolate problem. And that has to do with the chocolate growing industry or processing, unfortunately. But that's the kind of thing we're talking about. And that's why I say we use organic products, ingredients. I would say probably about at least 95%. I mean, some of ours are 100% organic, but, there's some products you can't get organic, but you get wild crafted. So, that's hopefully okay. But the point I am making is that if you're not using only organic ingredients, you're getting all the pesticides in your skincare products. So you're slathering on some, pesticide along with your anti-wrinkle cream. But people don't want to pay the extra money for organic ingredients. So at some point we have to consider, okay, what are we willing to pay the higher price for? And I'm saying if it's going on the largest organ of your body every day, you really need to get the highest quality ingredients. If it's something you're just going to have once few times a year, no biggie, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a useful perspective. So do you have any stories about, I know that you shared some stories about or your son did, about things that you would make for your kids, but what was your aha moment where you realized, was it something you when you were making these things for your family, was it because you liked making things and it felt good, or did you have an experience or something that kind of prompted you? Because it is a little bit of effort to do this, even just for your family.
Well, I'd have to say that it probably began with an interest in alternative health, because I happen to have health issues that conventional medicine can't help. All they can do is throw medicines at the symptoms. And so I was forced there's no choice, to seek something that would help. And I've tried almost every alternative therapy under the sun. And then until eventually I found things that worked for all of my issues, which made me, encouraged me to believe that if you work hard enough at it, you will find something that will help. But I'm also thrilled. It's like, oh my God, this is free, painless, all right, not free, especially if it's herbal ingredients, but it's painless, no side effects, and it's amazing. So then that's what really got me into herbalism in the first place. So I started a deep dive, studying everything I could. And so, yes, I got into it for health reasons. And then all the courses that I was taking as I was learning about herbalism, they kept coming up with, they offering these recipes for different fun products, right? And I'm thinking, oh, that would be fun to make. So I started making them, and then, my son had an issue, a skin issue on his scalp that kept coming back. So he said, hey, can you make me a serum for my hair? So I did. And again, I'm just experimenting. We're just throwing stuff together. And amazingly enough, it made that scalp issue disappear. And he's had this for years. He'd have to get these really strong prescription products, right, to get rid of it. And now our little all natural hair serum made it disappear. So that's when I really got excited about it. It's like, all right, well, I'm certainly not about to come out into the alternative health market. No, this is just skincare line for, beauty, for self-care. But if I'm putting in these wonderful herbs that are not only good for the skin, but have some health benefits, all the better, right? So these are not marketed or intended to help any health issues. And to be perfectly honest, if you really have serious skin issues, you do have to go to a dermatologist. And, for a therapeutic dose, you might have more of one ingredient than another. And that's not our goal here. But these amazing ingredients that we use are very healthy for the skin. They're nourishing, they're protective, and they can prevent skin issues. Just by virtue of the fact that you're not slathering on all those chemicals on your skin, you're healing the skin. And especially on the face, the skin barrier is what protects. It's the first line of defense for your immune system, right? Is the skin barrier. So
Right.
if your skin is healthy, you're boosting your immunity just by virtue of that. But all these chemicals and things that we're putting on our skin, even in our soap and our moisturizers, and are damaging that skin barrier, letting things in. So just by not adding the nasty stuff, you're preserving your skin barrier, which is boosting the protective function, the barrier function. And then, in addition, we're adding all these great herbs that support, and not just herbs, oils, butters, right? Nut butters, that support the skin barrier function. So it does help preventive, and part of that prevention, what it prevents is also even aging. Those chemicals and a damaged skin barrier, that accelerates wrinkles and aging in the skin. So in that sense, it also helps your skin stay looking younger.
So you're not suggesting the blood of a unicorn. You're suggesting herbs and moisturizing.
And not putting those synthetic fragrances and preservatives and God knows what. And drying, like emulsifiers. Every cream on the market practically has to have an emulsifier to get the oil and the water component ingredients to mix. Well, most of those emulsifiers are chemical emulsifiers that actually dry your skin. So you're putting on that really expensive moisturizer and it's drying out there's a big ingredient there that's drying out your skin. Ours are formulated without those harsh emulsifiers, only natural emulsifiers or ingredients that perform the function of an emulsifier. That's a tremendous difference.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Do you have any tips for people? Like, let's say I'm new to this topic, and there's, I think, two different things we could do. Maybe talking about, like, they want to make a shift. Like, maybe they usually get stuff at a big box store, but they're not sure where to start. Right? Like they don't want to spend $150 on stuff they've never tried. So what should they look for? How should they kind of dip their toe in to get a sense of what might be a good step for them?
It's a great question. I think for starters, I would recommend that people go to the Herbal Eclipse Experience, which they can get to from our website, herbaleclipse.care. The Herbal Eclipse Experience is really an educational and experiential, virtual space where we have videos there that explain about, some of the good herbs that we put in our products. We're adding more as we go on, but it talks about what's the connection between herbs and health, what's the connection between astrology and herbs, what's the connection between astrology and health, what is astrology for people who don't know. And I think that's a good place to get some questions answered. But as far as trying goes, there's nothing like trying. We do have a sample pack that will be available on our website in about a week that people can order with these small trial sizes. Real trial sizes. But the truth is, the best way is to just try one product and, start with one product. For many women, they might want to start with a moisturizer, right? Because everyone's interested in keeping the skin on their face as healthy and youthful looking as possible. But if you're someone like me who after every single shower puts on body lotion, then think about the quantity of product you're putting on your skin every day. So that might be a great place to start just because it covers so much of your body and so much gets absorbed. And then at the same time, soap, you're washing your hands how many times a day? And then you can also use it in the shower. So I would just pick a product and try it and see how it works for you. As far as the astrological signs go, people can get into that as much or as little as they want. For those who aren't interested in astrology, just pick a sign that sounds cool, right? Because they're all going to have benefits, and all you humans have each of the signs represented in them. And I even just, seeing which scents appeal to you, because we have a special essential oil blend that we put in for each astrological sign, as well as adjusting some of the herbs infused oils for each sign. But, you might just really be attracted to the Aquarius scent, right? And that's a good enough reason, something in there is speaking to you, because those fragrances, those ingredients in the Aquarius product is speaking to you on an energetic level. And so, it doesn't even have to be conscious. Just pick anything. Or if you do like astrology, you only know your sun sign, try something with your sun sign or mix them up. Get your soap with your sun sign, get the lotion with your moon sign, and randomly guess at another one. At the end of the day, I feel like you're going to end up with the one that you should end up with for whatever reason, right?
Thanks. So will you talk a little bit about working in partnership with your son? I think that's something that is kind of unusual. I don't think it's as unusual as we think it is. And I don't think it gets talked about very often because there's a lot of dynamics to that. And I was curious if you have any tips or challenges or successes that feel like they might be interesting or helpful to other people to understand.
I think, it's a great question. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be different in every instance, just because it depends on the personalities involved, right? Mm-hmm. I think my son and I have the type of rapport that makes it easy to work together. So to be honest, it's been fun, right? It's been a lot of fun, and it gives us something to do together. And, with adult children, you don't always get that. But also, I think the fact that we each have our own specialty area of, I'm the formulator, I'm the herbalist, I'm the astrologer. He's more, doing the business side of things, as well as in production. I mean, he's right there with me as we create the products together. But so having our different areas of expertise, I think also is important so that we don't feel like we're crowding each other, right? Mm-hmm. Or micromanaging each other.
I think that's great for friends who work together and partners as well, that being really clear on those areas of authority can honestly in any business be extremely beneficial to success and lower friction. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
I have no regrets. I'm not saying everything's perfect by any means, but even from the experiences that aren't so amazing, we learn and grow. So, 10, I'm trying to think, where was I at 18? I was having a lot of fun at 18. I would just say, keep on being true to who you are. I'm an Aquarian sun, so I'm always a square peg in a round hole. And so I'm kind of used to that. And just trust yourself and just be you.
What does success look like for you with this business?
Success would be steady, consistent income that allows us to fill orders with joy rather than stress, right? Mm-hmm. And then be able to expand outward. I mentioned the Herbal Eclipse Experience. We want to put ideas for self-care in there. So there's a guided meditation there now and other self-care rituals. And I would love to be able to do more experiential things with customers or people who are interested. That would be success. So basically, to have a steady, stable income so that we can work with that with joy rather than stress, and feeling like we're providing a service, both to our clients and something that's good for the planet, right?
I'm for that. Is there anything you're doing? It sounds like you're expanding the Herbal Eclipse Experience. Are there other things that you're adding on or expanding that you're excited about or that you want to share with people? This comes out April 28th. So.
Okay. Well, we just launched, so we're still in our initial launch phase. So we launched with our core products, which is the Bath and Body Wash, the Lip Balm, 2 moisturizers, one for mature skin, one for younger skin, and our Alchemy Lotion, which is a lighter lotion. Our Alchemy Butter, which is a much richer cream, is coming out soon. And we do have other products that we are going to come out with down the line. But I would just, try these basics, the everyday basics that we have. And it's a great gift idea for mom. Mother's Day is coming up. Graduation is coming up. These are great gift ideas. Because sometimes someone may not splurge to spend on something special for themselves, but they'll really appreciate having these organic, natural herbal products gifted to them.
Mm-hmm. It's really true. I always love that. It's nice to be thought of in that way. And I think you mentioned it before, but if people want to learn more, get in touch, look at your products, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is the website, herbaleclipse.care. On there, people can join our email list and get information. For example, every month I host a new moon meditation in the Herbal Eclipse Experience where we just get together. The new moon is a magical time for setting intentions for things that you want to manifest. And each one has the unique properties of that new moon. So I teach a little bit about the meaning of that new moon, what intentions would be aligned with that. And then there's a very brief guided meditation, and then we just meditate silently for a few minutes. So people can get to that from the Herbal Eclipse Experience. Also, our email is up there, support@herbaleclipse.care. We're always happy to hear from customers. And we will be posting to social media soon.
I want to say I'm sorry and posting to social media now. Well, and I will put a plug in for the meditation. I am I've always been dubious about like online meditations, and a friend of mine was telling me she was going to it, and I had a meeting so I couldn't attend, and she raved about it. She couldn't stop talking about how impactful it was, and just how somehow, even though it was online, it felt very present. And I say somehow just because to me that online experience can feel a little disconnecting. And from what she said, it had me want to go. I put it on my calendar to try and get to one of the next ones, because it was just really, she seemed to be so deeply affected by how powerful it was. It's a plug.
That's
to let
wonderful
you have
to
that
hear.
feedback in case they didn't tell you that directly, because people don't always, and just to pass it on to folks that are listening. So even if you don't live anywhere near where Deb is, which we're not going to tell you anyway, you can find her on the internet and go through a meditation. So
Exactly. Although for anyone who's interested, we are located in Boston.
Okay, well, there you go. I just, and
the next new moon is on the 27th.
Perfect. So
27th at 8 o'clock. And again, the sign up can be found in the Go Brunch Experience. There's a calendar with a link to register.
And that's 8 o'clock Eastern time?
8 o'clock Eastern time, yes.
All right.
On the
Just
20th.
in case. Well, thank you so much for chatting about what you're up to and filling people in. I really appreciate it.
I had a lot of fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Yay. See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into my chat with Deb, co-founder of Herbal Eclipse. I hope you enjoyed Deb's insights on the importance of avoiding harmful ingredients in skincare products and embracing natural alternatives for healthier skin. To learn more about this family-run business, check out their website, herbaleclipse.care. And don't miss a chance to join their new moon meditations for a holistic experience. This could be a great gift for Mother's Day if you're looking for something. Next week, tune in to discover how clinging to certainty or outdated tools could be the hidden obstacles to your success as we dive into letting go of safety nets on the next episode of Business as Unusual. Thank you for tuning in to Business as Unusual. Remember, in this ever-evolving world of modern business, it's not about fitting in, it's about standing out. See you next time. Stay curious, stay innovative, and always keep it unusual. I hope you enjoy the show. I love making it. If you did enjoy it, consider hopping over to the review portion of the platform you listen on and letting other people know about it. Or share the episode or the entire show with a friend or subscribe to the show. Definitely reach out, get on my newsletter, follow me on social media, and let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see in the future. Well, we love our guests. Appearance on the Business as Unusual podcast or any Bicurean consulting production is for information purposes only and is not to be considered an endorsement of their business practices, or character. Please properly vet anyone you find through this podcast and generally before you do any business with them. Thank you for listening.